Hello guys, welcome back to another exciting episode of post-processing series in which we want to discuss how to visualize ParaView objects using a GPU. So why I say that we want to visualize something with a GPU? What is the role of a GPU in this regard? The thing is, you can create some volume representation out of the entities that we've seen through this post-processing series, but it becomes a bit computational intensive to render those kind of stuff. And there are some plugins in ParaView that allows you to create some cool stuff like this animation. As you can see, there are lots of translucency here, transparent things, and also details that are rendered very well in relatively short amount of time. And that's indeed the power of a plugin in ParaView that is developed by NVIDIA, but is indeed compiled by the ParaView team and is placed inside this this nice tool. But before going to that specific plugin, let me quickly show you what I mean by volume render in ParaView. So the thing is, for this episode, what you need is indeed the files inside this render files folder, which is another sequential simulation, not a parallel one. So each time step is indeed saved into a single WTU file. And the reason for this is, unfortunately, ParaView is not at this moment is not very good at handling volume renders of multi-block objects. Even if you combine the blocks together, still it doesn't work very well with that. So for this kind of data, what I do, I always use sequential simulations. But I don't know, maybe in the future they will fix this issue. But anyway, so let's go to render files folder and open the group. So we will have a time series, and again another bend pipe, but in this case it has only concentration. So I don't have any velocity field here, just a concentration that is advected through the pipe by an external velocity field. So in order to get into the inside of the pipe and have some look at that to see what is happening there, you see that I have here the simulation setup is something like just a void space here, which was subsequently replaced by an implicit representation, as you saw in previous video. But this is an initialization initial idea for that. So here it's a void space, and then applying a boundary condition for C on that, which you can see as, for example, temperature or concentration, just in this case concentration quantity or state variable. So when I play the animation, it's a bit intensive, as you can see. Let's have a look at the mesh. So you can see that it's a bit intensive, as you can remember. I hope you can apply crinkle clip to clip filters, so to have a better representation of the mesh. So this is indeed what is in how the simulation is working. But just imagine that till now all the representation that we had was indeed using this sort of clip filters, because we wanted to visualize something 3D, we wanted to see what is inside, and we had to use this kind of clipping or at some point some contour stuff, but not something that shows the volume. In order to do that, in order to create such representation, ParaView provides a volume representation, a volume view, let's say, volume view mode. So I remove this clip and then I apply this volume on this to see what happens. The first step, it says that volume takes a lot of time, so be sure that this is indeed, you haven't selected this by mistake. So when I click yes, I mean, yeah, please do that. And then it starts to visualize. It takes a bit time. And then because it's volume, if I click C, you can see that it creates something like this. This is what I was talking about, a volumetric representation of that. But as you can see, I hope that it doesn't create any lag on the recorded video, but because the recording software is also taking advantage of the GPU and the system. But as you can see, now I have something like a volume representation of what is inside indeed. And if I go on with the animation, for example, selecting another time step, you can see that it's still trying to create a volume, and it takes time indeed, even if you want to, especially if you want to make an animation out of it. And this is volume representation. There are lots of tricks you can change, for example, part of, especially for the for this color map settings. There are lots of things that you can do to have a better representation. But NVIDIA has developed a framework for this kind of visualization, for this kind of render stuff, called NVIDIA IndeX. And NVIDIA IndeX is available inside ParaView as a plugin. What you can do is you can load this NVIDIA IndeX plugin. If you have a GPU, this is automatically there for you, or if you compile ParaView yourself, for example, what I did here, and I will show you in the next series how to do that, you will have it if you have those kind of GPU libraries, CUDA libraries installed. In this case, I had that, so I have NVIDIA IndeX here for me. So I should select it and then select load selected plugin. Then it becomes loaded, but I think I won't have it here, yeah, because now the plugin is available, but I need to reload my source files. So I reload them, I click apply, and then you can see, in addition to volume, I have another mode to render stuff called NVIDIA IndeX. And that is very similar to volume, but it provides a lot more options to, because I have selected label. I have a lot more option to deal with, to adjust. So yeah, I clear that, and it was related to the way that I have compiled it. It was saying that, yeah, there are some stuff that need to be for the precision of GPUs. I hope that we will have some GPU programming video series in the future as well. That's a very cool and useful topic in scientific computing. But the thing is, when I had selected that NVIDIA IndeX, these are indeed some basic options that you have to have full control on the rendering. You can select this one is showing more advanced properties. So there are lots of options to change. But what I want to do here indeed is, first of all, I want to change the color, this color map, color preset, sorry, and then changing a bit the representation of this color map, I mean for different colors. What you can do, just let's have a look at this. You can see that, yeah, this is indeed something very similar, but apparently part of the domain is pure transparent. In order to adjust transparency into ParaView, you can click on this mapping data to add another data point and then slightly move it towards the bottom of this curve. And this is indeed through the vertical axis you have control on the translucency and transparency. So for example, if I, for example, this is spectrum, and this part of the spectrum I move it towards down, and then here I say that I want it to be almost 0, for example here. And then for that, for the rest of that, let's go to another. I hope that it doesn't create lag on the videos that I'm recording. But yeah, this is indeed something that you need to do yourself and try to play with these color settings and get a very nice representation, and a representation that you want to have. So for example, for the thing that you see in this video, the color settings is very similar to something like this. So and then I will bring it down, so I don't want anything any of these lower values, these lower values to appear there. And then you can play with these options. Every time you click somewhere, a new point is added, and then you can easily create stuff on this. And as you can see, this is indeed that representation. So when you, I don't want to click play because then it I'm sure that it will interrupt the recording, but you can adjust this. And then for that animation, it was also a black background, which is indeed a better have a better reflection on this data. And also for this one, which is for this one, you can see. Oops, let's see here. Sorry. For this one, you can see that I have also the outer surface, which is nothing by duplicating this. I don't know, I can duplicate it. There are lots of ways to duplicate things, but I can say that it's with the labels 0 and above. Let's see what happens. This is indeed the way that I duplicate things, but there should be a better way. I don't know. I duplicate the entity with another filter, which has indeed something inclusive that includes everything, so it's indeed a sort of duplication. And then for this one, I create a big transparent, high transparent object, so it becomes something like this. So I increase the transparency of this clip, and then we'll have some options, some modifications on this on the main object, source object. So this is indeed how it works, and there are lots of wide variety of different options you can play with. You can have different colors presets, and also these kind of options you can work with, but by doing that, and also I told you there are options, very important objects, or I can say effective options. You don't need to change them, but you can, change this sort of stuff for the resolution, for example, the amount of GPU capabilities, GPU memory that you want to put, and this kind of stuff, but also the way that you want it to appear on the screen. So make sure to download the data set. This is not a very intensive data set. Download it and then try to create these kind of animations out of this volumetric representation. You can similarly you can represent it with this volume, but this is not very powerful indeed feature in ParaView, and that's why the developers have decided to put another plugin as as an addition to that. So it as you can see, this is indeed works pretty well. And after this, what I can do is, I told you should go to still working. You should go to this preview mode, and then export your animation. And by doing that, of course, you can see that I have to, right? Oops, no. Yeah, I want to disable this, the color, the legend for this, for the duplicate, for the domain. And by doing so, you can have a very nice animation out of it, which will be something like this. And then you can have, for example, camera rotation, or also positioning the camera close to this volume and capture all the details that this plugin can produce for you. So just enjoy it and have fun. See you later. Bye.